I was caught off guard. I was thinking about something. I was thinking about where my hair combs were because I was thinking about putting my hair up this time while I was sitting here. Anyway, hello. I am delighted that you have joined me this week for Mode of Cosmic Therapy. I am Paula Andrea Pyle, and I am thrilled to death that you have come in to spend the next 60 minutes with me and a session of Mode of Cosmic Therapy. Well, what in the world is Mode of Cosmic Therapy? Boy, that is indescribable. How in the world would I go about to tell you that I don't have a clue as to what it is, or how it works, or anything else? All that I know is that whatever happens in the next 60 minutes is exactly what's supposed to happen, just like in your life. Nothing is out of order, nothing is wrong, nothing is good, nothing is better than something else, nothing is worse than something else. No, it's not flatlining either. It is just, as I said on one of the other shows before this one, you're sucking the life out of the moment. And so sometimes it's going to be bitter and sometimes it's going to be sweet. But you will be nourished all the same and nurtured. Gosh, what am I going to do? That's what I was saying. I was thinking about putting my hair up, and I thought that I had put the combs on the table, but evidently I didn't. So we're going to have the hair down today. How will I start? What in the world am I going to do for today? I've got this whole table full of books, and that's part of what I do. I take things at random, totally at random. Everything that I do is off the cuff, spontaneous, no rehearsed, no script. In fact, I couldn't do it. If I had to do that, if I had to read something, I couldn't do it. So I would be ineffectual. Not that there's anything wrong with teleprompters and the whole world is run on them and I say, yay. But for me, I must be just a little bit dense because I have to not know what I'm going to do. Or maybe that's a little bit, not dense. I don't know what it is. Anyway, I have to feel it. It must be self-indulgent. That's what it is. I have to feel it. I have to feel it fresh. I have to just get into it and not know. I don't want to know. I don't like knowing. How about that? I don't like knowing, You hear that, how we say we're so automated, We're down on this earth to have fun. Yep, we're going to have fun. And guess how we're going to have fun? We're going to have fun through every single event that takes place, including everything that you think is disastrous and rotten and terrible and hurtful. And then you're going to have these times that are elated and exhilarating and exciting and delicious. You're going to have all of those. You're going to have the whole gamut because that's why you're here. That's why you're on two legs and that's why you're walking around. To experience the moment naturally and conveniently without a lust of result. What does that mean? Without a lust of result. Without having a pre-designated outcome. But Paula, the world couldn't run in so much chaos like that. It already does. But anyway, you have an idea of how you want something to turn out. It is never going to turn out like that. It may be this much, that much, or somewhere in between. But even if something is totally non-related to it, the event itself, the experience, the episode is what you're after, not for what you have contrived and invented and thought of how it was supposed to be. Because if you do all of those things, you know what's going to happen? You're going to live your life in misery, remorse. That misery word bled back in there this week, Mitzi. You're going to live your life in remorse, regret. Regret. Don't you just love that? You look back in your life and say how something should have been. Now you're sitting here 5, 10, 50, 30 years later saying how that event should have been. You are an entirely different person recalling that event, and whoever you're telling the story to, you've got a motive when you're telling the story. You either want to be seen as a victim or you want to be seen as a savior. whichever the case may be, you are not telling the event as it occurred, because you can't possibly tell the event as it occurred, because you're not that person telling the event. That would be like me trying to ask Mitzi to describe the birth of my last daughter. It's impossible for her to do that because she was not there and she's not that person. Well, I'm not there currently, and I'm not that person that was there 26 years ago. Incidentally, I've got 6 children. Yeah, I've been really busy. I've had a fun life, really, really fun life. Married 43 years, 6 children, 11 grandchildren. I think it's wonderful. I have had so much abundance and blessings and joy and tragedy and sorrow and disappointment and heartache and all the things that go along with living life. I've had it, and I shall have more as long as I continue to breathe. But I don't have an idea about it. I don't have an idea of how I'm supposed to be at this age, in this place, in this position in my life. I don't have an idea. I couldn't possibly begin to imagine, because I have done everything. I'm an artist. I'm a professional artist, and for those of you who have watched some of the other shows, you've seen some of my art. I'm a singer. I'm a songwriter. I'm a composer. I'm an author. Yes. Mitzi, where's my book? I don't even see it up here. Oh, there it is. I mean, I've got several books. And a mother, a wife, a friend, a lover, a bitch on occasion, more occasions than we'll talk about. Why would I call myself a bitch? Somebody might think that that's denigrating. I do not. I do not. I think if you're going to be a bitch, be the best bitch you can be. Don't hold back, and don't come back and try to define what that means or how you're supposed to be an effective one. Just be whatever you're going to be at the moment, and stop looking back in regret, in remorse, and with guilt. Leave guilt on the doorstep. You know, when you're using guilt, you are manipulating somebody, or you're trying to. And if that person is just yourself, you're manipulating. You're trying to cause the situation to be more conducive to what you can handle, because you haven't cleared out. I was going to say the gutter, but the gutter, I didn't see a gutter, Mitzi. I saw the attic, you know, full of this, just all of these leftover ideas and dreams that were not accomplished. You're not finished yet. You're in the process. That's what you're doing. You're in a process. When you left your mother's womb, ever how many years ago, you detached from that cord, and you have been on your own ever since. And when you leave, you're going to leave on your own. But you're doing okay. You've made it. Sometimes you have interpreted those times as bad, and sometimes you interpreted them as good. But they were still, the stream was still flowing. That's the whole deal. Anyway, let's see. I'm going to take and probably draw a paper out of there. I usually do that, you know, at the first of the show, because I like to set the theme. But that's not necessarily what I have to do. You know, Mitzi, if I didn't have my, wonder if that would, let me see. Front or back? How's it go, Mitzi? You think that goes in the front, or does it go in the back? I like this hat, like that, but it still didn't have, pull up my hair. Let's see if I can, maybe I can pull up my hair and put it under. Was the bow in the back or the front? Huh? Like that? Is that the way? See, it's cooler that way. Okay, so there you go. I had it. I really wanted some sunglasses. I thought I had some. I couldn't find none, nowhere to be had. All right, we're going to show how life is interrelated, how every single solitary thing you do is connected. From every breath you take to every, if you were a smoker, every cigarette you smoke, whatever you do, you know, the shoes you put on that day, the clothes you choose to wear, the places you choose to go, it's all interrelated. It's all connected. The person that you're living with that you don't think you can stand one day further, you're there for a reason, but it's not the reason you think. We're going to show, based on whatever I pull out of this jar. This ain't a jar, a bucket. Oh, look at that one, Mitzi. That was all tied up and curled up. Let's see what that one is. Here we go. I think before I pulled it out of that bucket right there that I was talking about guilt. Oh, yes, Sandy. I just remembered, she says when I sit down, I don't always sit the same. So I want to make sure that I sit up straight and be good, trying to be good. But I was talking about guilt, remorse, regret. Anything else I was talking about? Looking back, trying to recall an incident when, it's 5, 10, 16, 30 years later. That person's dead, gone. Your cells have been replaced time and time again. Anyway, out of the bucket, purely at random, using the divine relationship that is happening and occurring here. If you are afraid to turn it loose, it has already turned you loose. If you are afraid to turn it loose, it has already turned you loose. So all of those avenues of manipulation, as I was talking about guilt, all of those events that you work so hard to keep everything intact. If I do this and that and the other, then I'm talking about a relationship, a lover relationship right now. Whether it's male, female, as I said, female, female, male, male, makes no difference. We're talking about lovers right now. But if you're trying to do what you can to keep that union together, well, the key word there was you're trying. What are you doing? Trying. A little bit of gap there. Remember in the other show we talked about let the gap be? Remember that? Okay, so why are you having to try to do anything? Because things work perfectly in unison in a much larger picture. We only have a small, minute portion of what we're looking at. And we're looking at it distortedly, mind you. If you are afraid to turn it loose, it has already turned you loose. So if you saying some of these are right good? Right good? I only use those words. I go so much talking about good and bad all the time, then use the words. So if you're doing that writes pretty, Mitzi. If you're doing what you can to make sure you have security, guess what the first thing is going to be going away from here? If you're trying your best to be seen, no, I'm not going to use that word. I use that word all the time. If you're trying to be seen, well, it was right. A loving, caring, decent, considerate, generous. How about let's put that word in there? Generous person. And it's impossible for me to use one word, isn't it? Just like my book. But if you're trying to be seen or try to prove to yourself that you are all of those things, guess what's going to happen? Events, episodes, circumstances, situations are going to arise. This is given out. To get rid of this. That's your situations that's going to rise. Every single solitary one. To make you see beyond a shadow of a doubt that you're not loving, you're not caring, you're not decent, considerate, and generous. Not in the way you think so. But you may very well be more than any of those things. But you can't possibly be those things and think you are those things at the same time. Can't do it. It interferes with it. Okay. So what was the little paper? If you are afraid to turn it loose, it has already turned you loose. If you are afraid to turn it loose, it has already turned you loose. So we hold on. We cleave. So when we cleave, we have grief. We hold on and calcified. We hold on and we become calcified. We make something, because we're holding on to it and because we're cleaving to it, what we're doing, there would be no way possible for us to try to hold on to something and cleave to something and not want something to be dissipated if we had not blown the ideas of that out of proportion. There's no way, because why would we be clinging to something that we didn't think was magnificent? Why would we be holding on to something and not wanting it to dissolve if we didn't think that it fulfilled every, I love that word, fill yourself full, that it didn't fulfill every single solitary dream, aspiration, goal, idea that I have. But what life is trying, there's that word, that's what we started. Life is, it doesn't have to try. That's what we started this with. Life is not trying. That is not a true statement, Paula, because life is doing it. It will cause situations to come to you if you are receptive enough, and if you are not so blinded by your own sense of specialness and entitlement and self-intoxication. Let me get that off of there. I got to do that word try, Mitzi. Don't let me forget. Yeah. Let's see.